Wages are starting to look like they're firming up, and they're moving in the right direction, certainly along the right trajectory. I guess the question here is whether we can read too much or not read enough into this 1 month of wage data to get a sense of whether wage growth will be able to keep pace with a quickening rate of inflation.
I think you always want to be careful about drawing too many conclusions from 1 month of data. This 2.9% increase is pretty good. You have to take into account, however, that a long list of states raised their state minimum wages, along with several cities raised their minimum wages. And so that drove an increase in January. There was also a little bit of an atypical work week during the survey week here. The other thing you got to take into account is inflation. You have to subtract inflation from this very robust wage increase, and with that amount, it's still workers only really feel an increase of about 0.8%. That's really not enough to get them spending in the way we want them spending. So it's good news, but we have to be careful about getting too excited about it. You want to see multiple months of large real wage increases before we can conclude we've turned the corner on wages.
Seth, just talk to me a bit about the impact of tax reform here, because obviously the president's been tweeting out the benefits are already accruing, and we've seen that in some sense with the bonus payments that have been awarded. But surely, as far as the data is concerned, it's too soon. And yet I look at the UMich confidence survey, and actually 22% of consumers were spontaneously mentioning that tax reform would have a positive impact. So we're seeing it surely in the confidence data if we're not even seeing it in the real data yet.
Well, I agree with you. There's been so much talk about the tax cut bill in the media that you'd expect people to be thinking about it and for it to be uppermost in their minds. I think the likelihood that the tax cut bill actually had any effect on this month's jobs or wages data is pretty unlikely. Remember that employers, who are the vehicles for the money getting from the government into the pockets of workers, really haven't started to adjust or have just begun to adjust their withholding of federal taxes from workers' wages. They have until the middle of February to do that. So it's unlikely that workers have seen or most workers have seen a big change in their take-home pay. And it's very unlikely that employers were able to, or big corporations who got many, many billions of dollars of tax cuts, were able to turn on a dime and immediately make investment decisions that would have produced more jobs and wage increases. So we've seen a bunch of bonus announcements. That's a very good thing. That's not the same as wage increases. Those are not going to be lasting increases in workers' take-home pay. But I think we're going to have to wait another month or two before even the beginnings of an impact on the American economy from the tax cut bill will be felt.